Okay, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, the time is here. Should you roll for Surtr? You should not. Flamebringer is better, boys. Flamebringer does what Surtr does, and better. Apparently Flamebringer does not cooperate with medics and he has the worst infection. And that's why he's so OP, man. He's so... Flamebringer is so OP, he does not need medication. He doesn't even need medication, man. Oh my god. He's the most OP operator in the game, man. Okay, jokes aside, you probably should ignore my Flamebringer advice because 90% of the stream is sarcasm, like literally. So yeah, Surtr's banner is confirmed. Now what? You guessed right, Romantis and Mudrock when comments are on the goddamn way. Let's go. But yeah, let's just focus on the now, shall we? So our next event is Rewinding Breeze, as most of you know probably already. And of course we have a new banner coming. It's called Unfettered Magma and it stars 3 new operators, Surtr, April and Arene. And of course with tradition we're going to be getting Elysium rate up too. So yeah, that's again a nice bonus for you guys. And not like all of us have him at pot 6 anyway after the WWE banner, but anyway. We will be getting a new welfare operator as well called Mint. And she's like super adorable and really cool actually. So yeah, let's go take a look at what these operators do, starting with Surtr. Alright, here's the girl that you've been waiting for, all of you meta players. So Surtr is our new 6-star arts guard, who is very strong, she is very meta, and also for some people, she is very waifu as well. So starting with her trait, plain and simple, she deals arts damage, which is always welcome on guards in my opinion. And next we have her talent. Her first one is very simple, when she attacks she ignores a certain amount of enemy resistance. This is pretty big when dealing with high resistance enemies, it just allows her to cut through their defenses way easier. And then for her second talent, this talent is very similar to how Blaze and Spectre works. Basically it allows her to stay alive for a certain amount of time when her HP reaches 1. The only downside to it is that she will be retreated after the time finishes, so you just have to be a bit careful when using this skill, but it goes really well with her S3 though. Alrighty, next on to her skills. Starting with her S1, I'm not even going to try pronounce the name because I have no idea how to pronounce it, but this skill allows Surtr to have some really consistent damage. What it does is increases Surtr's attack for her next attack, and if she defeats an enemy with that attack, she will regain all the SP lost, which means it's a super spammable skill, especially with the low SP cost. Think of it like Bagpipe's S2. And also the attack percentage is also really high on it, being at 240% at skill 7, so it's actually a pretty strong skill. And next we have her S2, Molten Shadow. This skill is pretty much her burst damage for when you don't want to use her S3 for some reason. Having a fairly low SP cost is actually like pretty consistent to use and really easy to use as well. So basically what it does, it increases her attack range and target count. So you're easily able to clear waves with this skill due to it being able to target more than one enemy. But what makes this skill truly devastating is when she's attacking only one enemy. Her attacks gain a massive attack increase, which means this skill is great at both AoE and single target DPS. And finally we have probably one of the most broken guard skills in the game, Twilight. This skill not only destroys every mob in Surtr's path, but it also burns bosses to the ground. So basically what this skill does is immediately recovers Surtr's HP, increases her attack range, target count, and increases her max HP by 5000. And this is infinite duration. Yes, you heard correctly, infinite duration. So all these buffs make her into a complete freak of nature, literally destroying everything in her path. And I'm not even trying to make her look good to sell her or do anything like that, she is literally that strong. And I'll leave some gameplay in the description so you guys can literally go take a look at how strong she is. But of course with every strong skill there's a downside to it. So during the skill duration she will gradually lose HP. This HP loss will increase up to 20% per second over time. You will need some serious healing power to keep her alive during this skill, so it's usually best to let her finish off her enemies solo, then just redeploy her again, especially since the skill only costs 5 SP at M3, which means you can pretty much instantly use it when you deploy her. Also, her talent works so well with the skill is Harmony. So for Surtr, I would really recommend you focusing on leveling up her S3 first. But overall, Surtr is an extremely strong guard who can seriously wipe out everything in her path without a problem. She will pretty much make your Dokutah career easy, like super easy, if you manage to pull her, of course. So yeah, she has some great consistent skills, she has amazing burst damage, a really meta operator. But of course, not as meta as Flamebringer though, like Flamebringer is just better, you know. Okay, next we have a new bunny waifu, April. I'm sorry, Amia. April is a new 5-star sniper with a cool and unique gimmick of being a fast redeploy operator in disguise. So starting things off, her talent gives a reduced self-redeployment time, and at E2 it reduces her DP cost by 1. This works really well with fast redeployment gimmicks, because you can pretty much pair this with potentials as well. So at max potential you'll gain additional -2 deployment cost, and another 10 seconds taken away from a redeployment cooldown. So that's also like really good for her gimmick basically. So starting with her skills, her S1 is a very simple auto spammable skill. What it does is increases her next attack damage, and that's pretty much it. The skill has a really short SP cost, which makes the skill really consistent in the damage department. And now we have her S2, and this is where her gimmick shines in my opinion. So a quick brief of what it does, it increases her attack and gives her a camouflage effect. This will make April non-targetable by a big majority of enemies, and the only way she's gonna get damaged is with splash damage. You may also wonder how this skill works with her gimmick. Well, it's basically like a heli drop skill, like our fast redeployment operators have. You're able to pretty much deploy her on any ranged tile without her being targeted because of her camouflage, while also gaining a attack buff. Once this skill duration ends, you basically retreat her and redeploy again. It's a really cool gimmick, and it's actually like very useful on some missions where you need to deal with some certain drones or certain enemies that have awkward positioning. Definitely prioritize her S2 when deciding on which skill to use, because then you will be able to make full use of her kit. But if you're looking for more consistent damage, then go for skill 1 or pretty much just use a different sniper altogether. But overall she's very interesting, she's a really interesting operator actually, who has really great potential but can be kinda like easily replaced by other operators, other fast redeployment operators or snipers, especially because of her DP is a bit higher than our usual fast redeployment operators. But if you use her in the right mission, or use her to deal with awkward enemies, then she'll really shine there. Okay, now to talk about our new guard, Arene. Arene is our new 4-star guard who specializes in killing drones. Literally, he wants to destroy every drone in the planet. I don't know why. You tell me, who knows. So he's pretty unique since we don't have any guards who actually like specializes in such tasks. And that also means it'll be really good for challenge missions that doesn't allow you to use snipers or casters. He also already has a skin, by the way. So yeah, don't tell Effie. Oh, April has one as well. Oh, don't tell Effie, guys. Okay, so starting with his talent allows you to prioritize drones. The end. Onto the skills? I'm just kidding. But that talent exists at level 1 of course, but afterwards it gives him a pretty hefty attack increase when attacking drones, up to 43% at E2 max potential, which is actually like massive when you need to deal with drones. So onto those skills, they're actually like pretty good skills as well. So his skill 1, small joke, reduces his buck count to 0 and every attack deals 2 hits with increased physical damage. It's actually like a very cool single target skill which allows him to deal some pretty decent physical damage, which would pretty much destroy the drones anyway. but just be careful of the reduced block count, but if you're smart with it, you can use it to avoid melee enemies. Although the uptime is kinda short for the SP cost in my opinion. But now we have his S2, Deadly Plank, and this skill is pretty much like a watered down Thorns S3 with elements of Lapland as well. So what it does, it increases his attack range no longer reduces his damage, every attack deals arts damage, and he gets to attack an additional target. This skill can be really strong against drones and even hordes of drones because he can attack additional targets. It's especially good against drones with high defense as well. But for which skill to prioritize when investing in Arene, I'd probably go for his S2. It has so much more buffs and allows him to deal with multiple different types of drones. But overall, Arene is a really good guard, especially considering he's a 4-star. The only big downsides for him in my opinion is the competition against other range guards. There's a lot of super strong range guards out there, so Arene really will need to fight for a spot in your squad. But if you need someone that's not a sniper that deals with drones, then Arene is your man, especially in challenge quests. And lastly, we have Mint. Mint is our new 5-star caster who specialises in pulling enemies and tanking or surviving to some extent. Mint has the same trait as Beeswax, she does not attack, but when a skill is active she will deal AoE damage to all enemies in range. But when a skill is not active, her defense and resistance is increased. So onto a talent, Geologist. This talent is pretty interesting since it will give your operators a permanent defense buff as long as you don't activate a skill. But when the skill is active, she will become less targetable by enemies. It's actually like a pretty cool talent because typically you'd want Mint to tank range enemy shots, so it's always great to be attacked less when she goes on the offensive since she loses all of her defense buffs. So next we have her skills. Her S1 gives her a massive range increase while giving her attack buff. The duration and SP cost are pretty good too, which gives her some pretty consistent damage. And now we have the more interesting side of her, Swirling Vortex, her S2. This skill is pretty cool because every attack pulls a target towards Mint. Do remember she's an AoE operator as well. She also gains a generous arts damage increase. But the really cool part is when the skill ends, it deals a big burst of arts damage to all enemies in range. So all those enemies who were pulled in by Mint will be taking a nice punch of damage once their skill ends. This can also be especially good when you need to pull enemies in to stall time, and it's surprisingly useful in other aspects. For which skill to prioritize, I'd probably recommend skill 2 because of her gimmick, but if you need some consistent damage, you're better off using skill 1 to be honest. But overall she's actually like a pretty useful operator, as she has a lot in her kit to be honest. She's able to tank enemies, she's able to pull enemies and deal some pretty decent ops damage. You just need to be really careful when using the S2 though, because it can get kind of awkward when pulling enemies towards objectives or even pulling them away from your main DPS and things like that. Alright, now the main question, should you roll? Yes. Thanks for watching and good luck. So, okay, I'm just kidding, but I do agree that you should definitely roll on this banner for Surtr or even April and Arene. All three of these operators are really great in this banner for what they do. Surtr is just insane, she has crazy burst potential and she pretty much makes your game easy mode. April has some great fast redeployment potentials, which is interesting for a sniper as well. Arene, pretty much a drone destroyer, can be amazing on challenge maps as well, but man, like I said of Thorns banner, Surtr is super generic. She can perform extremely well on pretty much all missions, with dealing with both consistent damage with her S1, amazing burst damage with her S2 and S3. So I 100% think you should roll on this banner, unless you're saving for Rosmantis or Mudrock of course, which I see many of you guys saving, so that's a thing apparently. So let me know if you're rolling on this banner. I will also be rolling for viewers on the banner release live, so if you want to take part in that or even just watch it, then make sure to come to the live stream. I'll give instructions if you want to take part of it. So yeah, make sure you be there. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments. That kind of sounds weird, but hey, thanks for watching and good luck.